74 and then banning bottom trawling by Sri Lanka and allowing by India, this problem has arrived, as well as this has gone for last 2 decades, of course. We be in the Navy and we have tried our level best to stop it, but you know that it is quite difficult task for us to catch or stop 1,000 trawlers coming tries in a week. Whereas even as of today, I think we have quite a big number of trawlers arrested with the fishermen. Of course, once the legal actions completed, we repatriate fishermen. Again, it's a burden for us to drop them at IMBL. And of course, we were talking, practicing and writing for damage of our ecology system and the economy, as well as this, as correctly mentioned, security issues. And still we could not come to certain level to stop this, and they have damaged our ecology for last 2 decades. They have taken the harvest financially, economy, and as well as they have up to some extent damaged security situations also. Have you done a research or a study or discussion with the Minister of Fisheries, as they are the prime people to change the act, whereas recently they have passed act for the fine increase as well as confiscating? Why don't you think that allowing our people, our northern fishermen, to have a bottom trawling at least for a short period of time for a certain demarcated areas under supervision of either Coast Guard or Navy to stop arriving Indian trawlers? Whereas, for my understanding, at the moment, there are about 30-40 permission has been given by the Fisheries Department for the bottom trawling, but it has stopped now. But if you try at least our fishermen to be mingle with them, not the full scale, but up to certain level, demarcated areas with limited time period, maybe for 5 years, for 3 years, to stop it. So, of course, we can change our legal systems, acts. Can you comment on this?
Yes, thank you, sir, for your question, as well as further enlightening on us on this aspect. I get this feeling that you are kind of trying to suggest a counter system amongst our own people to counter the Indian trawlers. Yes, of course, I've had a few discussions with the Fishery Ministry and relevant authorities as well with regards to bottom trawling. But none of these people have looked at bottom trawling per se very positively. Because one of the cries that we have in Sri Lanka with the Indian fishermen crossing in is the factor of bottom trawling. We say bottom trawling is dangerous. We say it creates long-term ecological devastation. And I personally wouldn't agree to allow our fishermen to engage in bottom trawling while we say it is not good. And we have already established a ban saying that, it's causing too much of damage. And most of the Indian fishermen, they are no longer traditional fishermen. They are bottom trawlers, commercialized fishing. So when we said, you don't do it, I don't think it is quite right for us to allow to do it under even certain circumstances. But I see that whatever the government has taken, the steps, these are very minor. I look at it as a small step, not a big step. Banning of this bottom trawling, even that 50,000 fine is a very minimal amount, I would say. Most of these Indian trawlers, they might pay the fine and take the trawler away. But they have taken significant steps. So if we say something is bad and we have banned it, we can't have double standards. I don't think it is right. So if we tell them that it is not good for them to do it, I don't think we should allow it either.
Yeah, of course, I totally agree with you, but I mean to say that it's a short term, whereas so far for the last 2 decades, they have been damaged our ecosystem. So
Yes.
how long we are going to allow them to do it?
Yes, I
Maybe
understand.
another 10 years time.
Yes,
So
I.
why don't we take a short period of time, maybe 2 to 3 years, by amending all the acts or whatever the regulations temporarily, and allow our people to be there, and maybe you do it for a short period of time. Sometime the Indian might find some other uh, place or some other opportunity. So that is, I don't know,
Yeah,
that might.
your suggestion is very welcome, but unfortunately, there are pros and cons to it. Right now, we are having a problem with another party, that is India. And we are saying, once again, I'm stressing on the fact that we are saying that bottom trawling is illegal, it is banned. In most of the other international shows also it is illegal, under UNCLOS it is illegal. So I'm not sure whether we can encourage such a situation where an international impact has indicated that it is illegal fishing. Bottom trawling is indeed illegal, but not really too sure how very practical it would be for us to even amalgamate bottom trawling even for a short time, because this might even, now actually India is asking for rights to fish in Sri Lankan waters for a short time. That also might come into conflict then. So this is a very, shady point whether we can allow something illegal while saying it is illegal in Sri Lankan waters.
Thank you.
Thank you. I hope I made myself clear. Thank you very much.
Those are very interesting points, and these are some of the discussions that you certainly want to have or certainly hope to have at the bilateral level, because I understand there used to be, or there is a working group, supposed to be a working group, for this particular issue. So may we invite one last question before we close the session?
Yeah,
Anyone?
I
Yes,
would
sir,
like
please.
to add something for Mr. Lankadeva's presentation. And I agree with you with border security that we have to stop the enemy at the doorstep. So when it comes to narcotics, Sri Lanka police is the pioneer of detecting drugs inside inside Sri Lanka. But as we all know that in this part of world, there are two main corridors. That is, if you take Afghanistan where the opium is produced, there are two main corridors, northern corridor and the southern corridor. So as a country, Sri Lanka is mainly affected by the southern corridor, that is the sea routes. So basically, we were affected by the northwestern part of Indian Ocean, but with the recent detection of cocaine, now it has diverted towards southwestern part of the Indian Ocean. So you must have seen one of the largest cocaine detections of more than 800 kilograms that were diverted towards India, and a couple of like nearly 2,000 kilograms of cocaine were detected. So as theorists and researchers, it's not only the northwestern part of Indian Ocean, now it has diverted towards southwestern part of Indian Ocean, and the smugglers are not going to use the same methods. So the sea routes may be diverted, smuggling routes may be diverted with time to come. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with you, and we appreciate what Police Narcotics Bureau is doing, because, as I said, most of the drugs are apprehended inside the country by police. So you are doing a marvelous job in that case. So, like I said, I quote the current Navy commander who said only 10% are apprehended. But in my research later on, I said now 20 to 40% is apprehended. So now my research statistics has shown from 2010 to 2014. So from 2014 to 2017, there is an increased interdiction by the security agencies, led by the Police Narcotics Bureau, the Navy, and Coast Guard, and all that. So things are happening, but what I try to say is not enough. So 30% is not enough because 70% goes through. And as I said, 2.6 metric ton is resmuggled back. So we need to find out how it is done, because that is why, according to the International Narcotics Board report, we are a center now. From here only the drugs are being distributed. So we use only 900 kilograms. What happens to balance 2.6 metric ton? It goes back to Europe, back to Australia, back to I don't know where. So this is a hub. Our people use only 900 kilograms for 50,000 strong drug customers. So that's the situation right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that comment, question, and the response. So before I quickly wrap up the discussion, I'd like to invite any of the panel members if you wish to make any final point that you'd like to have. No? All right, so but this is certainly, or has definitely been a very engaging discussion, and we've discussed on the one hand the importance of border security, and what Colonel Lankadeva was recommending is a proper coordination of a number of relevant agencies to lower the threat in our borders, but with the suggestion as well of our colleague from Pakistan, Commodore Bilal, we're looking at not only addressing a national border security from a country level perspective, but mainly the need for cooperation with neighboring states, because no matter how much we try to address the border security issues, if it's not addressed elsewhere, if we're not talking to our neighbors, then that security measure may not be very effective. Ms. Adams has looked at fisheries not from a fisheries management point of view, which was in the earlier presentation in the morning. That was the main focus on bottom trawling and how on the negative impact of it in our environment. But here she discussed looking at fisheries as more of a security issue, or an element of a comprehensive security issue, and the need to prevent probable conflict between India and Sri Lanka by not looking at it at a political strategic level, but also at a grassroots level. And in the absence of a working legal framework, what she's suggesting is basically having more practical measures. And we do wish Sri Lanka all the success in these very recent regulations. And we hope you could take it to that compliance level. Now, Ms. Diaz's presentation is on the air pollution, and I understand that the Male Declaration may not be working, as effectively because of that lack of implementation. And so certainly this may be something that, in the future, this conference may wish to take up, or, we have government officials, at different levels in this conference as well that may be able to look at this issue. Now, on the other side of our presentations, we have the US-Japan strategic relations. And again, it's very different from the discussion that we had on Sri Lanka, India, and Sri Lanka-China strategic relations, very different cases. And on the one hand, it's what's being argued is that perhaps, to gain more benefit from the relationships with the two countries, we need to be able to balance those ties with the two. And on the other, some members of the audience are saying, there is a case for taking a different approach. And I believe that this is something that you would be able to address as well in your research. And we all look forward to the results and all the papers from this research. So with that, I'd like to invite everyone to thank our panel members for their excellent presentations. And thank you very much for all your participation.
Thank you, Madam. That was a quite thought-provoking session. Now I'd like to call upon Deputy Vice Chancellor, Defence and Administration, Brigadier I.P. Ranasinghe, to award certificates to the participants of this session. Sir, could we have you up on the stage, please? First, I invite Lieutenant Colonel Retired A. Lankadeva. Then Miss M. Adams. Miss D.P.H. Sena Nayaka. Miss P.L.S. Dias. And finally, Miss W. Nalavatta. And also a certificate of appreciation to the session chair, Dr. Mary Ann Palmer Roberts. Thank you very much.